Hey everyone, it's the Marvelous Patrick, and I've seen the He-Man movie twice, and I have a lot of thoughts about it because, in case you couldn't tell, He-Man is like the thing I love, right? I don't love it more than my children, but it probably as much as my children. Um, it's the thing that excites my imagination and always has excited my imagination and just pumped it full of ideas ever since I was a kid, ever since I was three, and my brother showed me the show for the first time, and then I got the toys at Christmas of '83, and just kept going and going and going, and so for me, the Masters of the Universe movie that just came out was a moment, right? Like my brother, a different brother actually, he drove 14 hours to come see the movie with me because that's how big of a deal it is, kind of for us. And like I saw it twice on opening weekend, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it. Okay, so let's just say that I loved it. I thought it was so good. It was like my imagination, all the things I dreamed of and thought about, and just like were like internalized for me for like what I saw in my head for Masters of the Universe and He-Man was there on the screen. It made it my imagination real, and so I it makes me really sad because I think a lot of people are not going to go see this movie because it came out against scary movies, so right there that was a problem. Then we had those other movies or those indie films and like Amazing Digital Circus. Like there was crazy competition for this, and not a lot of people know about it. So I want to encourage you, if you're kind of like on the fence, you should go see this. And I'm going to have some spoilers in this video. So spoiler warning, because I want to talk about some things. First of all, um, the cast was so good, so good. Nicholas Galitzine as Adam slash He-Man, that's perfect. He was great. Um, I identified with him so much. I felt like it, like I always. That was kind of always the thing, like with these things, is trying to get kids to identify and like want to be and 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 yeah, like I felt like Adam always as a kid, like the person like it seemed like he was kind of a bumbling idiot to like his friends and family, but secretly he was great at everything. And if people just realized it, right, because he becomes He-Man, he's great. And what kid doesn't kind of sometimes feel like that? Like, hey, you don't realize, you think I'm a dope, but actually I'm this great person. So yeah, Camila Mendez as Tila, it was like Tila just walked out of Eternia. She was Tila. She was Tila. I don't know how else to say it. Idris Elba as Man at Arms. It was an interesting take on Man at Arms. I love this idea of the fact that like for him, it was about failure and redemption and things like that. And I thought that was really cool actually as a story arc for a character arc. Villain side, Skeletor. I'm going to say a sentence I've never thought I would ever say, but Jared Leto was perfect. Jared Leto was perfect as Skeletor. You don't know it's him, like unless like you would know. Oh, that's Jared Leto. You would just think it's like, oh, it's just some actor, some guy who did that. Who did that? If you didn't know going in, you'd be like, who was Skeletor? Because they were amazing. A lot of the credit has to go to the special effects team though for the animation of the skull face. Right? It's a skull, but it's so expressive and everything and wonderful. Jared Leto, I saw something where he said he didn't want to be doing Alan Oppenheimer's nasal voice for this movie, and so he comes in with this kind of like British faux British accent kind of villain, but at the same time, the thing about Skeletor was he was funny, and whether he was trying to be on purpose or not, like and his insults, he was just always like with his insults in the show and everything, and Jared Leto gets that with this voice, and he's still perfect. Like there's this spot where like He-Man's like, face me like a man, one on one. He's like, no, I don't want to. Like it's like no, and he calls He-Man like a muscle bound boob and things like that, and it's just like all those things that just go, like Beast Man fails him, and he's like, to Beast Man's like, can you stop? This really hurts. It's like, yes, that's exactly it, right? These are his people. At the end of the day, he's not going to just kill them because this is his team, right? He'll be angry, he'll discipline, but at the end of the day, Skeletor's just this is the people he needs to fulfill what he's going to do. Allison Brie as Evil Lynn looked like she was having the best time of her life. The best time. She was living her best life, right? Like she got to have these lines and these moments that are just chef kiss perfect. Like she nailed the idea of Evil Lynn, which is the power behind the power, but not powerful enough to be the power, right? Like clearly, like I wishing that she could be what Skeletor is, but knowing that she just doesn't have that ultimate power capability at the moment. And so maybe their thing is just she'll have to be next to him, and they'll she'll have all that power that way. And it just and just like the you know so wonderful. Um, I want to talk now in Spoilerland a bit about the theme of the movie, and this is where I feel like Travis Knight nailed it. See, because a lot of people remember He-Man and think that most powerful man in the universe. That's what his label is, most powerful man in the universe. And they think the power and the strength and all of that is like the literal physical muscles, right? Because he's big and strong and he can lift and he can punch they think that's the power. They think that's the power. And that's the real power of He-Man has always been the fact that he's kind. That's it. That's the power. The power is the ability to be kind, and all those things he does. Like if you remember in the old show, like sure there was like rules like why he couldn't use his sword for fighting and stuff like that. But if you look, all the power he does always comes in. All the strength is always comes like in trying to do the least amount of damage to help the most amount of people. And He-Man even has, like he says, I'm sworn to protect all life on Eternia. This is from this cartoon, and that includes Skeletor. There's episodes where like he saves Skeletor, and and that's it would be very easy to just turn him into like the guy who's big and strong, fights really well, right? Turn him into like a Captain America almost kind of thing, where he's just like, oh, he doesn't. Um, but no, it's there is that and that's the theme, right? Is that the whole theme of the movie is what is it to be a man, right? And all these different takes. Like, you have King Randor say what it is to be a man. You have Man at Arms discuss what it is to be a man. You have then a kid growing up thinking, okay, being a man means I have to go lift all these weights and work out, but I'm not good at it. And I have to, I have to do these things and I have to be this person. And then when I have the power and I'm big and strong and I can do all this cool stuff, right? But what? And he says, face me like a man, because that's what he thinks. Like I'm a man now, and he says to his dad, says to Randor, "Hey, I'm the man you finally wanted me to be." Like this whole idea of what is a man, and and it comes out at the end. Well, that's no, that's not what being a man is. It's being a person, right? And like even the fact that all these names for all these characters come from Adam as a kid trying to like make drawings and stories of the people he lost when he was exiled to Earth, and he didn't know their names. He made things up and he called himself He-Man, right? Because it was about projecting the idea of what he thought a man should be as a 10-year-old. And this movie is about taking those ideas we have as kids about what it is to be an adult and be a person, to be a grown up, and realizing that the vision children have of what these things are childlike ideas, and that if we don't grow beyond these ideas we have as children of what it is to be a person, that's when we get these adults who suck, because they don't really grow up. They just into a person. They grow into the idea of what they think an adult is, a man or a woman or whatever, and they become kind of a caricature of those things. And that's what happened with He-Man, right? In the movie, is he becomes kind of a caricature at first of what being the most powerful man in the universe is. But he doesn't defeat Skeletor until the very end when he realizes, when the sorceress says, the power is in you because of your empathy and your kindness. And he realizes, oh, being a man means I'm strong enough to be kind. I'm strong enough to not use power. That just because I have power, I don't have to use it. Whereas a kid's idea of this is that when you have the power, you have to use it. And it's about restraint and knowing yourself well enough to say, I don't have to. And I think that's an amazing idea and theme of the movie. And I think that's always been inherently in Masters Universe, right? I mean, there are all those after the show's done little moral things. We all laugh, oh, the moral. But if you look at it, they always wrote those morals that there was something actually in the story, the lesson of the story. Like you actually saw the thing happen, right? They just pointed out to you what was actually being done. Like even if they didn't have that segment where the characters after the show said, "Well, in today's story, this happened," that was still in the story. That was always built into the DNA of this, into the DNA of Masters of the Universe, is lessons about how to be a kind and good person, not the idea of what a good and kind person is, but how to be comfortable in your own power to be who you are and how to be good and kind and not have to do things. So yeah, I love the movie. Obviously, uh, there's the after credits stuff that's clearly setting it up more, right? We want the trilogy. I don't know what Amazon's threshold is for this. I don't. I'm skeptical. You know, they say the budget's like somewhere around 200 million, but we know there's a lot of tax breaks and other bonuses and stuff they've gotten for where they film and how they do their filming. We know Amazon counts on their streaming revenue quite a bit. We know that the toy tie-ins and everything like that. All these things are factors that we just. I feel like we'll never know the actual number of what happens until until we don't know what their number is. Um, but I also think Amazon wouldn't have produced this if they didn't. Obviously, they wanted to go further. I hope they can because um, there is so much that hasn't been explored. Avion gets a one-liner at the end of the movie, and it's like there's a whole there's so many characters we haven't seen. Um, there's just so much, and it's so beautiful and perfect. And um, I'm such a fan of Masters of the Universe, and to see this movie, it's like okay, these are people who really cared about making it. Everyone there, it feels like they cared. It doesn't feel like anyone phoned anything in. Doesn't feel like anyone didn't try. Nothing feels goofy. No one. It doesn't feel like it's laughing at it. Like it takes this material seriously in the appropriate way, and it's delivered with love. I don't know how else to say it, and um, I loved it. I hope other people go see it. I'll tell you this: my son, who is 10, brought along a friend who had doesn't know anything about He-Man Masters Universe. Loved it. The kid loved it. And on the way home, he's on YouTube watching the official channel and watching episodes and just absorbing all of it. So it's a movie that can do that. It can expand the fandom, which people don't think it can, but it can. So go take people that don't know this stuff. Take kids. Take kids. The kids are going to love it. There's a lot there for kids to love and enjoy it and be. I guess just nothing else. We'll be happy we got this.